Lucifer is described to be among part of the most beautiful creatures that God made. He was the most beautiful and perfect amongst all the angels. It is said, "Thou wast perfect in all thy ways from the day that thou was created, till iniquity was found in thee." When Lucifer is compared to his other pairs of angels, he was full of wisdom, divine, handsome, so perfect and flawless. His pride grew because of his qualities. When compared to the other creatures God had created, he became filled with pride and arrogance, and started to imagine that he could replace God and rule over all that God had made. Lucifer was an angel created by God. He was one of the archangels of God. He was among the high rank of angels who stood in God's presence, and because he was always in the presence of God, he probably thought that he knew God more than any other angel. Isaiah recorded that the devil said of himself, "I'll climb to heaven. I'll set my throne over the stars of God. I'll run the assembly of angels that meets on sacred Mount Zaphon. I'll climb to the top of the clouds and I'll take over as king of the universe." Isaiah 14:13-14. Lucifer's dream was to be like God. He wanted a throne higher than the one he was entitled to. He wanted a throne that was higher than the one God himself had. He started to think of himself as powerful enough to battle with God and win such a battle. Therefore, he began to deceive other angels around him, for he had more wisdom than them, and they fell for his deception. So Lucifer fought in a war, the war known as the Great Heavenly War, so that he may take the throne of God. This was the beginning of the fall for Satan, and there was war in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon fought and his angels, ate and prevailed not. Neither was their place found any more in heaven. 9. And the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent called the devil and Satan, which deceiveth the whole world. He was cast out into the earth, and his angels were cast out with him. 12. Therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and the sea! For the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth that he hath but a short time. The Great Rebellion, also called the Heavenly War, was an event that occurred in heaven, which included Lucifer and 1/3 of the angelic hosts against God and his angels. While the specific number isn't known, Revelation 12:4 makes it known that 1/3 of the angels followed Lucifer. This war was an attempt to overthrow God in the eternal sphere. The desire of Lucifer and his angels is to be honored in the manner that God is, to replace him. However, instead of Lucifer gaining God's throne, or even maintaining the privilege he had, he was cast out. Isaiah recorded and asked, "But you didn't make it, did you? Instead of climbing up, you came down with the underground dead, down to the pit." After Lucifer and his angels had rebelled, there was found no space for them in heaven anymore. Lucifer and his angels were cast down, therefore there was a change in their abode, and therefore the term fall. A big consequence of the Great Rebellion was that they were cast down into hell and are bound in chains of darkness. For if God did not spare the angels who sinned, but cast them down to hell and deliver them into chains of darkness, to be reserved for 2 Peter 2:4. According to Peter, the angels who sinned are in hell awaiting eternal judgment. This hell was prepared by God for Lucifer and his angels. This is described in Matthew 25:41, where Jesus clearly explains that some people would also be thrown into hell, which was made specifically for the fallen angels, Lucifer and his angels. Matthew 25:41 says that the everlasting fire, hell, was prepared for the devil and his angels. Hell was created as the greatest final punishment for Lucifer, the leader of the Great Rebellion, and the other members of the Great Rebellion. This is how Lucifer fell from heaven. He was thrown out. It was also said that when God was about to make a creature in his image, Lucifer was angry, which triggered in him the desire to dethrone God. It's believed that angels fell into sin before man. This belief is because of the presence of Satan in the Garden of Eden. Lucifer was angry at God's creation, at the amount of authority that man had over the earth when he had been an archangel guarding him all this while, and yet he didn't have much authority. All things God made are good. All angels were created holy. However, Peter said in 2 Peter 2:4 that the angels sinned, meaning that they were beings who had the freedom of choice and were held responsible for that choice. The desire of Lucifer to be honored in the manner that God is and to replace him was what led to his destruction. According to Peter, the angels who sinned are in hell awaiting eternal judgment. However, Lucifer, the devil, who is the leader of the angels that rebelled, still reappears before the angels in heaven despite being cast down into hell. This, therefore, makes the question pop up: if he's in hell, how can he reappear? It's found in Job 1:6. Now there was a day when the sons of God came to present themselves before the Lord, And Satan also came among, and Job 2:1 again, there was a day when the sons of God came to present themselves before the Lord, and Satan came also among them to present himself before the Lord. The sons of God in this context are angels. So if Satan is presently bound in hell, how come he appears in heaven? This brings us to the second record given to us in the Bible, which says that immediately Satan and his angels had sinned, there was found no space for them in heaven anymore, so Satan and his angels were cast down into the earth. And the great dragon was cast out, and his angels were cast out with him. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and the sea, for the devil is come down unto you. It says that they were cast into hell in 2 Peter, while in Revelations, they were cast into the earth. Since we know that hell was made for the devil and his angels, maybe it's to indicate that fallen angels were fallen into the earth and some end up being locked in hell, with the final judgment being that all of them would be locked in hell. After Lucifer was cast out to earth according to Revelations, he decided to wreak havoc on the earth and cause man to sin in a hope that it would be to his advantage. Adam fell after Lucifer had deceived Eve in the Garden of Eden, and this gave him quite the advantage because he would now be the god of the world which was given to Adam before. Lucifer continues to deceive men with the big hope that he would triumph over God in the future. Lucifer's fall was so great and beyond being thrown down from the earth, the New Testament further reveals a further casting out. The book of Revelations reveals a more detailed account of how Lucifer falls from heaven. There's the account of Satan being bound, and it's recorded in Revelations 20:1-3. 1-2, and the angel laid hold on the dragon, that old serpent, which is the devil and Satan, and bound him 1,000 years. 3. And cast him into the bottomless pit, and shut him up, and set a seal upon him, that he should deceive the nations no more, till 1,000 years should be fulfilled. And after that, he must be loosed a little season. It occurs in 2 stages. First he is bound, and then he is incarcerated. Then he is destroyed after being released for a short while. Satan being bound has an interesting effect because it was him who usually bound people. In Luke 13, the woman Jesus healed was said to have a spirit of infirmity, and she was bound by Satan. Luke 13:12, and when Jesus saw her, he called her to him, and said unto her, Woman, thou art loosed from thine infirmity. 13:16, and ought not this woman, being a daughter of Abraham, whom Satan hath bound, lo, these 18 years, be loosed from this bond on the Sabbath day? Satan was expelled fell from heaven according to Revelations in 3 stages. He and his angels were cast out from heaven to earth when he lost the war in battle against God and his angels. In Luke 10:18, Jesus said, I saw Satan fall with lightning speed from heaven. This probably describes the first stage of Satan being expelled. The second stage is when Satan is cast from earth into hell. Revelations 20:1-3. The third expulsion occurred when he was cast into the lake of fire. Revelations 20:10. And the devil had deceived them was cast into the lake of fire and brimstone, and shall be tormented day and night forever and ever. Satan was lastly expelled into the lake of fire as a consequence of the heavenly war he waged. This is suggested in Revelation 20:10. And the devil had deceived them was cast into the lake of fire and brimstone, and shall be tormented day and night forever and ever.